Before she was a river, Ganga was an untouchable celestial goddess. Born from the purifying waters that washed the feet of Vishnu, she existed entirely outside the mortal realm, flowing strictly through the heavens. Down on earth, the balance of power rested with King Sagara. He was a ruler of unmatched military force, commanding an army so vast that his power rivaled the gods themselves. When Sagara's sacred sacrificial horse went missing, he sent his 60,000 sons to find it. They tore across the continent, eventually tracking the animal to a remote ashram. There, they found a sage named Kapila in deep meditation, and rather than waiting, they shouted, shoved, and aggressively demanded answers. Kapila opened his eyes. Centuries of stored meditative fire released in a single glance, instantly reducing all 60,000 princes to ash. Because they died without proper final rites, those 60,000 souls had nowhere to go. They were barred from heaven and untethered from lice, caught in an agonizing, indefinite limbo. There was only one way to break the cycle. The ashes required purification by celestial water. Someone had to figure out how to pull the proud goddess Ganga down from the sky. A momentary lapse in respect created a spiritual void that would take generations to fix, setting human desperation on a direct collision course with divine ego. It took 3 generations until a descendant named Bhagiratha took up the burden. He surrendered his royal title, left his palace, and traveled into the brutal cold of the Himalayas to perform years of punishing austerities. Eventually, his sheer willpower earned the approval of Brahma, who agreed to release Ganga. But there was a massive physical problem. Dropping an ocean of pure, untamed celestial energy directly onto the earth would crack the planet open. They needed a physical intermediary, a cosmic shock absorber to catch the weight of the water. Only Lord Shiva had the physical endurance to survive the impact. Ganga was furious about leaving heaven. As she plunged toward the earth, she decided to weaponize her own kinetic energy. She planned to strike Shiva with such torrential force that she would drag him straight down into the underworld with her. Shiva knew exactly what she was doing. He stood his ground and simply caught her on his head. His endless, twisting dreadlocks snared the rushing water, trapping the goddess inside an inescapable labyrinth. For years, Ganga wandered lost inside his hair. Every time she tried to force her way out, she hit another dead end, systematically wearing down her pride until she finally accepted her situation. Only then did Shiva loosen a few strands of his hair. Ganga spilled onto the soil in a controlled, gentle flow. She followed Bhagiratha across the continent, eventually washing over the ashes of the 60,000 princes and sending their souls upward. Her physical descent required a profound spiritual transformation. Before Ganga could offer salvation to humanity, she had to shed her own ego. There is another karmic chain reaction tied to her earthly existence. Years prior, during a gathering in the divine court, a sudden gust of wind blew back Ganga's robes. While the other deities respectfully looked away, a mortal king named Mahabharata locked eyes with her. Brahma noticed the stare. For this breach of decorum, he exiled them both from the heavens, sentencing them to live out an entire mortal lifespan down on earth. Reborn as the powerful King Shantanu, Mahabharata met Ganga by the riverbank. When he asked to marry her, she agreed, but bound him to a strict condition. He must never question or interfere with a single thing she did. Ganga had a hidden motive for accepting. 8 minor deities, the Vasus, had also been cursed to live as humans after stealing a sacred cow. They begged the goddess to be their earthly mother so they wouldn't have to endure a long mortal existence. Fulfilling this promise required a horrific toll. To free the Vasus, Ganga had to carry each child to term and then instantly drown her own newborn infant in the river. Bound by his oath, King Shantanu stood by the water's edge and watched in absolute silence as his wife drowned 7 of his children, one by one, year after year. When she walked toward the river with their 8th child, Shantanu broke. He screamed out, demanding she stop. His intervention saved the boy, who would grow up to be the legendary warrior Bhishma, but it instantly terminated their marriage. To act as the ultimate purifier, the goddess took on an unimaginably dark burden, destroying the lives of her own children to grant them peace. Following Shantanu's outburst, Ganga returned to her heavenly form, leaving her grief-stricken husband behind. But she left her flowing waters permanently etched into the earth. Today, millions interact with that river as an active, living bridge spanning the divide between human suffering and divine grace. The current holds the weight of that massive karmic chain: Bhagiratha's multi-generational willpower, Shiva's quiet humbling of arrogance, and the silent, devastating sacrifice of a mother at the water's edge. Goddess Ganga left the flawless, untouchable sanctuary of heaven. She absorbed the curses, the ego deaths, and the unbearable grief of the mortal world, guaranteeing that humanity would never